We have some major breaking news. It has been announced that Denny Hamlin has picked up a new sponsor for the 2025 NASCAR Cup Series season. What's going on, guys? It's Daniel, and welcome back to our video. As I just said a Sunday, we had some pretty massive and major breaking news. It has been announced that Denny Hamlin has picked up a new sponsor for the 2025 season. It has been announced, and according to reports from Joe Gibbs Racing, that National Debt Relief will serve as a four-race primary sponsor for Denny Hamlin and Joe Gibbs Racing in 2025, including in this year's Daytona 500 for the 67th running of the event. The other races that National Debt Relief will sponsor Denny Hamlin in 2025 are at Circuit Americas in about a month or so from now, Charlotte for the Coca-Cola 600, and Talladega in October. This is the second big sponsor that has been announced for Denny Hamlin in 2025. Remember, we talked about this on the channel a couple of weeks ago, but Kings of Wine is going to sponsor Denny Hamlin also for four races in 2025, I believe including early in the season as well, I believe also at the end of the year at Kansas as well. This is really huge for Denny Hamlin. Obviously, Denny Hamlin throughout the last year has lost a couple pretty big sponsors. FedEx, which has been at Joe Gibbs Racing since 2004 or 2005, they're no longer a sponsor of Denny Hamlin or Joe Gibbs Racing in any way, shape, or form. They sponsored Denny Hamlin on a full season scale pretty much from like 2007 or something like that all the way to like 2020. Then they started backing off their sponsorship in 2021. And then, of course, they decided to leave fully at the end of 2024. The other big one's Mavis Tire. Mavis Tire has sponsored Denny Hamlin for nearly half the races in 2024, and they were not listed on the Joe Gibbs Racing side. They weren't listed on the hauler earlier today. So that was two big sponsors that Denny Hamlin had lost at the program. But now they have another sponsor coming in, and National Debt Relief. National Debt Relief is a pretty massive and really, really big company, and I think it's really good to see that they are coming in to step up to the plate and sponsor Denny Hamlin in the 2025 year. This is a big year for Denny Hamlin, of course, going into the 2025 year. I believe Denny Hamlin is in a contract year with Joe Gibbs Racing. There is a chance we could get a situation like what happened with Kyle Busch. Remember, Kyle Busch lost a pretty massive sponsor with M&M's and Mars Bars in the Mars Group over there leaving in 2022 at the end of that year. Kyle Busch would end up leaving the program at the end of the year and going over to Richard Childress Racing. Now, Denny Hamlin, I think, is in a better position as a driver than when Kyle Busch was a few years ago, and Denny Hamlin was also competitive, but Denny Hamlin's also got other distractions going on currently at the moment. You think about the fact he's currently involved in a lawsuit with NASCAR, 2011 in front row, his drivers of Bubba Wallace, and Tyler Reddick and Riley Herbst getting involved in that a little bit as well, and his co-owner Michael Jordan, Curtis Polk getting involved in that. Same thing with front row as well. And then you think about the fact that he has a new crew chief in 2025. If Chris Gabehart moving toward the competition director side, I think that things are going to be a little bit different this year for Denny Hamlin. And historically, drivers, once they get up to that around that 45 to 50-year-old age, they start losing a lot of that performance and they start declining in performance on the racetrack. And I just don't know if Denny Hamlin, his performance is going to be as strong with Chris not being his ear. Now, granted, Chris Gabehart is still going to be helping build the cars over there, so I'm not as worried about the cars as much because I feel like the team is still going to be in a very solid position because Joe Gibbs Racing in the second half of last year really struggled and they didn't really put up the performance and speed that I think the team is expected to perform. Joe Gibbs Racing's been an elite team for many years, and like I said, the second half of the year, granted, Christopher Bell probably should have gotten a couple wins and should have made the championship for last year, but it is what it is. I look for Denny Hamlin to be very interesting to watch throughout 2025. I think there's going to be a lot of things to keep your eyes out on in regards to Denny Hamlin this season. Can Denny Hamlin keep up the strong performances that he's had for a very long time? Can Denny Hamlin win races? Can Denny Hamlin finally win his first ever championship? Like I said, Denny Hamlin is probably at the end of his career at this point, and it's probably within the next couple of years, he is going to retire from the sport completely. Going into this year, Denny Hamlin is going to be the oldest full-time NASCAR Cup Series driver, and I think that's going to be something to watch out for. Does Denny Hamlin's performance start declining, especially with a new crew chief coming in to work with him this year, or does Denny Hamlin continue the really strong performances that he has had? Denny Hamlin has not won since early 2024, and I think he really wants to start stepping up to the plate and probably would like to perform a lot better going into the 2025 year and season. And I think that having less pressure on the sponsorship side and not having to worry as much. So I still think Joe Gibbs Racing is going to have to worry about it, even though I do think that Sports Clips, which will sponsor Denny Hamlin, I believe, this weekend during the Clash, I think it's also going to have Interstate Batteries as a sponsor for this year, as Interstate will sponsor all 4 drivers of Joe Gibbs Racing throughout the year. I do think some other sponsors could step up to the plate and work with Denny Hamlin. Maybe somehow Lance, which was announced, sponsor Chase Briscoe yesterday or a couple days ago. I would think maybe they could step up and sponsor Denny Hamlin at some point throughout the year. That is certainly a big option and a possibility. But I think it's going to be very interesting to see how Denny Hamlin can perform in 2025. There's a lot of pressure on this program going into the year and the season, and I think it's going to be certainly very interesting to see where this team ends up going in 2025. My prediction for Denny Hamlin's year is I think Denny will win a race or 2 this year. And I also do think that Denny Hamlin will have a chance to make the playoffs, and maybe he has an outside chance of making the championship 4. But again, like I've already mentioned and said multiple times on this channel, I think there's a very realistic possibility Denny Hamlin is going to leave Joe Gibbs Racing after this year to either retire from full-time racing altogether or go on a part-time basis and race with his own team, because there's a lot of distractions he has currently at the moment. But I think the big positive news that comes out of today is the fact that a big company like National Debt Relief is coming in to work with Denny Hamlin. I have to wonder what other sponsors Denny Hamlin will have throughout 2025 that have still not been confirmed and announced at this point. I think that will come down the road and probably come out in the not-so-distant future on what sponsors could eventually end up working with Denny Hamlin in 2025. There's still some big questions around that and some other companies for sure, but it's good to see that National Debt Relief will work with Denny Hamlin in the 2025 season. Again, it's going to be very interesting to see how this team can perform under the pressure going into the year. Denny's still looking for that first championship. Denny, no doubt, is one of the greatest drivers in NASCAR Cup history. There's no denying that and no questioning that, but he still has not won that championship, and with Denny's career not too far away from being over at this point, I think there definitely need to be some questions about whether or not Denny Hamlin could retire at the end of the year on a full-time basis, or he could end up coming back in 2025. So 26, I should say. So we'll see what happens in regards to that, but glad to see that we will get to see Denny Hamlin have a new sponsor for the 2025 year and season. So that is going to be today's NASCAR breaking news video on National Debt Relief sponsoring Denny Hamlin. I want to thank you guys for watching. Please subscribe to the channel, notifications on, and if I win a video, it does go live on my channel. Follow me on Facebook and Instagram, and support me on Patreon as well. Let's go below that and comment your thoughts below on today's episode. What are your thoughts about National Debt Relief sponsor Denny Hamlin in 2025? Let me know your thoughts in the comments below. And do you think that Denny Hamlin will be a contender for the championship this year? Let me know your thoughts in the comments below. Tomorrow on the channel, we're going to have race picks for the Cookout Clash at Bowman Gray Stadium. Then on Saturday, we're probably going to have an early look at the Truck Series lineup and also do the reviews for the Heat races as well. Sunday, we're going to have the reviews for the NASCAR Cup Series Clash, and we'll also have the Xfinity Series lineup video talking about people like Connor Zillich, Shane Van Gisbergen, Kyle Busch, Kurt Busch, Carl Edwards, Bubba Wallace, Sheldon Creed, Sam Mayer, Haas Factory Team, Cletus McFarland, Connor Zillich, Junior Motorsports, all that good stuff. We'll talk about other big things like Chase Briscoe, Chase Elliott, you name it, Alex Bowman, William Byron, all the good stuff. And Bubba Wallace, too, we'll talk about that on the channel. So Eric Almirola as well. We'll talk about all that on the channel coming out very, very soon. So anyways, like I said, I want to thank you guys for watching today's episode, and I'll see you guys next time for more great, awesome NASCAR content and other motorsports content on the channel like this. Take care, everybody.